Okay, let's make sure these kickbacks are in frame. Looking great. Gonna make that money. Well, have you heard the news? After only 10 years, Nintendo has announced that they will cease to sell Wii U and 3DS games as they're closing their digital store. Now, 10 years? Well, excuse my French, but that seems like a huge you to the people who've invested heavily into Nintendo's ecosystem. Now, this is one of the many drawbacks of relying on digital media. At any moment and at any given time, the rug can quickly be swept from underneath you and you can be left with nothing. And the side effect of this is FOMO, which means the fear of missing out. I'm seeing people everywhere on the internet desperately looking for a way to buy all of these games before they go bye-bye forever. And my question is, why? Don't you understand? Nintendo has abandoned these platforms. They're no longer interested in taking your money for these games created for these systems. You know, what's even more damning as far as I'm concerned is if you look at their FAQ that Nintendo put out, they had a question in there that they answered, but they almost immediately took it out. Now, as far as I'm concerned after reading this, it's pretty clear that Nintendo isn't interested in you owning any of their titles any longer. No, they don't want you to own them. They want you to pay a license in perpetuity for the rest of your life just to have the pleasure of playing their games. Now, in this video, we are going to be soft modding both the Wii U as well as the 3DS using the latest and greatest methods that don't cost a dime, and it's never been easier to do this up until just a few weeks ago. So sit back, strap on, and let's keep the Wii U and 3DS going forever. Now, we're starting with the Wii U, and the only thing that you have to have is a 32GB SD card and an internet connection. Now guys, soft modding your Wii U has never been made any easier. We have this wonderful guide on the wiiu.hacks.guide website. It's by far the most comprehensive, and it's always up to date, but just be sure you're using the latest version of this guide. Follow along with me. That link is in the video description. Okay, here we are. A few things we have to do. First of all, make sure your 32GB SD card has been formatted to FAT32, and make sure that you have it installed and ready to go in your computer because we're going to be putting files directly to it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to download a zip file, and we're going to make sure that these three items right here are selected. So we're going to click on this link right here. I'm going to actually open it in a new window, and sure enough, NAND dumper, payload loader installer, and base tiramisu are all there. We're going to click download package, and we're going to save this off. There it is. Great, we've got that saved. We're going to close this out. We're going to also have to download this file. This is 01sigpatches.rpx. Just click on it once, save it anywhere, no problem. The first step of all of this is going to be to open that zip file that we initially downloaded. I want to grab it. I want to grab the contents of it. I want to click copy, and I'm going to go to the root of my SD card, which is right here. Now this folder is the root for my SD card. It's very simple. Paste the contents of that zip file into the root of your SD card directory. That's done. Now the second step here for that is to copy the sigpatches.rpx file to this specific directory. Not a problem. So let's see if we can get that going. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click open folder so I can see this thing. And I've downloaded this a few times messing around. But I want to copy this, and I want to go back to the root of our SD card. Now this directory, let's see, is right here. So Wii U, okay, /environments, /tiramisu, /modules, and then setup. No problem. Okay, paste that in. Good to go. On to the next page. Simple enough, guys. Let's take our SD card, put it back into our Wii U, turn this bad boy on, and simply launch our web browser. Now, simple enough so far, guys. We've got our SD card prepped, loaded back in, our Wii U is on. Let's just navigate down to our browser and launch it. Now, per the instructions, we want to navigate to wiiuexploit.xyz. Now, here we are. But before we press the blue Run Homebrew launcher box, we need to make sure that we press the B button down immediately after pushing this. Otherwise, we won't get our menu. Okay, let's do it. Very good. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do for protection's sake is we're going to scroll right down here and we're going to dump the NAND. That way, if anything goes wrong in the future, we'll have a copy of our memory contents and we can, for the most part, restore any bricks. Now, the default selection is just fine, but if you also want to back up all of the memory contents on your Wii U, meaning the games, you'll need to turn on Dump MLC. I leave it alone because, quite frankly, I'm going to be doing a lot of fun things to this, and I don't care about what's on there right now in terms of installed games. Okay, let's dump this thing. This thing will restart, and we'll meet you back here at the Wii U home screen. Now, we've restarted, and our NAND is fully backed up. Now, take those files off of your SD card and save them somewhere securely. You don't want to keep them on your SD card, but just put them somewhere where they're safe if you need them in the future. Okay, let's run back to the browser and let's run that exploit one more time. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did before, only we're not going to hold B, we're going to hold the A button once we launch the Homebrew launcher. So let's do it. Press and hold A. Great job. At this point, we're going to want to launch the installer because we'll be installing Payloader at this point. Now it's already highlighted for you. It's in blue. Great. Just press the A key to select it. Now we're going to make sure that this is installed or it can be installed properly, so we'll just do the check. Great. We're in good shape. At this point, we're going to click Install and Update. And we're going to make sure that we want to do this. So yes, we're going to click Install. Great job. Once we press A here, the console will either shut down or reboot. That's fine. Let's do it. Great job, everybody. At this point, our exploit is installed, but we need to make sure it's set up so that it will auto boot every time we turn on our Wii U. Otherwise, we're going to have to run it manually. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to launch the Health and Safety Information channel, and as soon as we launch this, hold the X key on your gamepad. Okay, let's do it. Excellent work. We're back in the installer menu. So we're going to go ahead and select installer. It's going to load in. And at this point, we're going to navigate to boot options because we want to set this up to boot automatically. So we need to switch to payload loader. No problem. Just press A. Done. All set. The console's going to shut back down, and now our exploit will automatically auto boot every time we turn this on. We never have to worry about it. When we turn our Wii U on, initially it's always going to bring up this menu, but the way to configure this so that Tiramisu automatically loads and we never have to look at this again is we're just going to highlight Tiramisu and we're going to press Y. It's going to highlight this yellow and then we're just simply going to select Choose. Now guys, the soft mod is all done, but we're not going to have anything loaded. Scroll down to the bottom of our guide and you're going to see some additional Homebrew apps. I highly encourage you to, at the very least, just install the Homebrew App Store. It's very simple. It extracts directly to the SD card like everything else, but if you want to copy the other two apps, that's perfectly fine. When we install the App Store, we'll have access to all of these, so it really doesn't make any difference. We're going to load into the Homebrew launcher, and I'm going to show you how this works, but just keep in mind, this little highlighted text here, pay attention to it, because if you don't do this, you're not going to have anything. Now, great job. We've loaded those apps in. We've got them on our SD card. Now the simple part. To launch Homebrew, you just need to open the Mi Maker application. We've kind of hidden the Homebrew launcher in this, so just highlight it, open it, and after just a second or two, you're going to be met with the blue screen that will list all the applications we currently have on the SD card. Now currently we just have the HB App Store and the Save Me mod, which is fine. The HB App Store is by far the most important. Very simple. We just load it in, and you're going to be met with a wonderful, guys, truly a wonderful piece of software that will give you access to all of the Homebrew that's basically available. Everything from games to emulators to tools to anything that's just sort of esoteric, it's on here. It's quite amazing. RetroArch, all the emulations that you could ever possibly want to run on the Wii U. You don't have to take your daggone SD card out. It's here. Just use this application. It makes things so much easier. Now, if you want to, for example, dump your your CD games, your optical games to hard disk, you're going to need some tools for that. WP Installer is one of those tools that will make it easier. And just to show this, we're going to download it, and then we're going to look around here a little bit at some other things, but we're going to download WP Installer, and we're going to back out of the Homebrew app just so that I can show you how easy it is and how these things automatically populate once you download them. It's really, really simple. So we're just going to back out here and get back to that blue menu, and you're going to see right there, WP Installer. Works fantastic. And also, if you want to launch the Me Maker, it's not lost. Just press the home button and it launches the original application. Nothing is lost. And with just about 15 minutes of time, a little elbow grease, and a couple of apps to help get us started, guys, your Wii U can look quite impressive quite quickly. And full disclosure, all of these games, except for that one, I paid for. I own all of these. But you know what? Nintendo doesn't give me an option to play these games or to buy these games currently on some of these legacy systems. For example, Castlevania Adventure Rebirth. This was a digital-only game on the Wii. I bought this game, but you know what? My Wii died, and Nintendo wouldn't give me any way of restoring this game to a new piece of hardware. F that. I bought it, it's mine. I have no problem loading what I paid for onto a piece of hardware that I own. Having said that, guys, this concludes the Wii U portion of this soft modding jailbreak tutorial. I hope this helps, but now it's time we navigate to the 3DS. Ooh. Now, we're going to be following the guide at 3ds.hacks.guide, and there will be a link in the video description, but just know, currently all versions of the 2DS and 3DS on the latest firmware are seamlessly compatible with the latest exploits, so there'll be no problems there. And probably in the foreseeable future, Nintendo will probably never update these systems ever again, as they're clearly end of life, and they don't care about making money off of them. So having said that, we're going to be modifying this new 2DS, and we're going to be exploiting it. So let's get started. Now before we begin, there are only a couple of steps that we need to do on a preliminary basis. We first need to make sure that there is no existing custom firmware installed on the system, and this is most important if you've bought a 3DS or 2DS on the secondhand market and you're just not sure. Fortunately, there's a really easy way of determining this. Follow my lead. Now the procedure is very simple. Hold the select button, and while holding the select button, you're just going to power the system. Now, if there is any form of custom firmware on here, you're going to be met with some sort of weird menu with choices. Otherwise, if it's a clean system, you're going to boot straight into the home menu, which we have here. So great work, we're in good shape. Now we just need to verify the current firmware, and as of this video, 11.15 is what we'll want to have installed in order to install the seed miner exploit. That's what we're going to be using. So in order to check that, you're just going to click the setup menu in the top left hand. We're going to scroll all the way down here, and we're just going to click the little wrench, and on our top screen will populate the version of firmware. And sure enough, we have 11.15 installed. We're in great shape and we're ready to move forward. If you have an older firmware than 11.15, you'll just want to update it, and that's a very simple process. Nonetheless, we're ready to go. Now at this point, it's time to do some prep work to the SD card that's installed. If you want to use a bigger SD card, I suggest now you get it ready. Otherwise, we're going to pop this tab, and we're going to pull our micro SD out of the system. Now our SD card has been inserted into the computer. This is very simple. We need to navigate to the Nintendo 3DS folder, and within this folder you're going to see a directory that is a long series of characters. We simply need to copy this. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go to rename here. The text is all highlighted. I'm just going to click copy. Put this in a notepad, put it somewhere, because we're going to have to use it in order for this exploit to work. Very simple, guys. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, with our SD card still in our computer, what we're going to do is we're going to launch the friends list, and it's the icon with a nice orange square face. So launch this. Now navigate to your Me, which is right here, and up above in the top screen, we're going to have our friend code. Now this is mine. I'm going to be using this in a website that's going to help us brute force and hack this bad boy. Write this down, let's get open our web browser, and let's do it to it. Now at this point, we're going to open Brute Force Movable. So I'm going to go ahead and make this in a new tab. And this is where we enter information. We're going to be putting our code that I just showed you, as well as that long character string that we copied earlier. Let's put them in. Now we have our friend code as well as our ID entered. What's going to happen is we're going to send this off, and computers on the other side of the universe are going to decrypt and unlock our keys. Press go, but guys, keep in mind, this could take a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, up to half an hour. Just let it run. Now, as it's running, we are being asked to add this friend code so that the software on the 3DS can talk to the computers out on the other side of the galaxy. Let's take this code and let's add it in on our 3DS. Let's do it. And just like that, guys, we've broken the encryption. Okay, let's download the movable.sed and continue moving forward with this jailbreak. Great job. Now at this point, we need to go ahead and we need to put our SD card back into our 2DS because we're going to have to access the eShop to download the crappiest Pokemon game ever made. Let's do it. Now with the eShop loaded, we only have to download this free game, Pokemon Picross. Now we've got our Pokemon game installed. Let's go ahead and let's remove our SD card once more because there's some prep work that we still have to do to get the exploits installed onto this SD card. Let's do it. Now before we proceed, there are 4 different items that we need to download. No problem. Okay, great work. We've got all of the files that we need. Now it's just a matter of putting that SD card back into our computer and putting these files in the right places. So we're going to start right here on this line, copy other app.bin to the root of our SD card. No problem. Let's go for it. Now here is our other app.bin. Let's just copy this directly into the root of our SD card. Now the next step is to copy boot.firm and boot.3dsx from that Luma 3DS zip file into the root of our SD card. No problem. Here are the 2 files. Let's just highlight them, copy them, and paste them right into the root. Now the next step is to create a folder boot9 strap on the root of the SD card. No problem, I'm actually just going to copy that name right here. And we'll make a folder on the root of this SD. All set. Now the boot9 strap.zip has 2 files here that we need to move over to this directory that we just created. So let's take these 2 files right here and let's move them into that directory. Now we need to open the safe B9 installer zip file and copy this bin file over into the root of the SD. Now following the guide, let's move on to the Pickaxe Injector website. Now from here, we're going to click Browse, and we're going to go to the area where we saved that movable.sed file that we got earlier. It's right here. Now just click Build and Download. Now this is going to generate a file for us. Let's just go ahead and save it. Now it might get a little complicated here, but what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to this directory structure and we're going to put that file that we just downloaded into the data folder on our SD card. Watch carefully. Now let's drill into the Nintendo 3DS directory, and from here we're going to click on this long character string. We'll then click on a second character string. Click on the title directory, move into 40,000. Click on this folder, Data, and right here, we're going to replace this 01 save file with the file we just downloaded. So to do that, I'm going to go to the other directory here where we saved that to. Let's see, I think that, well, actually, I can just come right back to this and click Downloads here. This file, I'm going to copy this. Okay, I'm going to click back, and I'm going to paste this in, and I'm going to overwrite it. Yes, copy and replace. Perfect. Now at this point, guys, go ahead, put that SD card back in, and launch Pokemon Picross. And if you're successful, once this launches, you're going to get to a menu. Beautiful. Now at this point, we're going to install Boot 9 Strap. It doesn't get any easier. We just need to replicate this code right here, this button combination, and it's going to install. Now after you finish with that, your 3DS will automatically restart into the Luma 3DS menu, and what we want to do is we want to scroll down to Show NAND or User String, and we want to make sure this is highlighted, and we're going to press A. Press Start to save and reboot. Great job, our 3DS has been exploited, the custom firmware has been installed nonetheless. If we don't install these mission critical applications, we're not going to be able to do anything with this. So scroll right down here to what you need. Now all of these little things right here we'll be installing. That's going to require us to put our SD card back into our computer one last time. Let's make these configurations and let's get this 3DS on the way out. Now the download instructions are fairly self-explanatory. Let's just get to work. Okay, we've downloaded all of the files necessary. Now let's follow the directions. We've got our SD card back into the computer, and we're going to create a folder named SIAs on the root of our SD card if it already doesn't exist. Let's do that now. Now the next step is to copy all of the SIA files that we just downloaded and to place them in that SIAs folder directory that we created on the root of our SD card. Now, we're going to go back to our SD card and we're going to create a directory, 3DS, in the root. Now, all of the 3DSX files that we downloaded, we'll be placing those into the 3DS folder that we just created in our last step. Let's do it. Now we need to open the Luma folder on our SD card to see if this payloads folder exists. If it doesn't, we simply need to create it. Now we need to open the godmode9 zip file, and we need to grab the godmode9.firm file, and we need to put it into that payloads directory that we just created within the Luma folder. Now the final step is to copy the GM9 folder from the godmode9 zip file to the root of our SD card. We're all done with the computer. Everything from this point on will be done on the system. Let's go for it. Now we're going to start setting up all of that software that we meticulously configured on our SD card. We're going to begin with the Homebrew launcher. So come right down here to the download play, and we're going to launch it. And we're going to wait for the Nintendo 3DS icon to show up, and then we're going to hold the left shoulder, down pad, and select. From this point, we're going to go right down into miscellaneous options, switch the HB title to the current app. Now we're going to press B. We're going to press B once more to return to the Rosalina menu, and we're going to press B to exit the Rosalina menu. Now when you get here, press home and simply close Download Play. Now that configuration is all set, we never have to do that again. And to launch the Homebrew launcher, we just now open the Download Play app and it should automatically load. Now we're in the Homebrew launcher and we need to configure some things here. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to launch the CTR No Time Offset. And I'm sorry this is blurry guys, but we're going to press A to set the offset to 0. Now we'll press Start to get back to the Homebrew launcher. Now we're going to launch DSP1 to apply an audio fix. Now this will take just a couple of seconds, and once it's done you can press B to delete this app. You'll never have to do this again. Now we're going to be using a piece of software called FBI to install Arcia. So we're just going to go ahead and click this. Now we're going to go ahead and navigate to SD. And we're going to navigate to Arcia's directory that you remember we created on the SD card earlier. Now here are all the beautiful things that we can install. Let's go ahead and let's just work through them all. Now we've installed all of those Arcia files. Let's go ahead and back out and actually power our 3DS down. Now before turning your 3DS back on, hold the start button so we can boot into God Mode 9. Now, God Mode 9 is going to ask you if you want to create an Essentials file backup. Press A, you want to do this. Now, if you're prompted to fix the real-time clock, press A to do so. Then we're going to set the date and time accordingly. Now guys, sorry that this is so dim, but God Mode 9 just lowers the LCD brightness pretty much all the way. At any rate, what we're going to do now is we're going to press the Home button so that we can get into the menu system. Now with that pressed, I'm going to try to get this focused a little bit better than that. With this pressed, we're going to go down to Scripts. We're going to highlight Scripts, and we're going to drill into this. Now, we're going to make sure that the GM9 Mega script is selected. Boom. Now, once we do that, we're going to scroll all the way down to Scripts from Playlist Guide. Now, make sure Setup Luma 3DS and Control NAND is highlighted. Press A, and when prompted, press A again. Now, at this point, like before, we had to enter a button combination in order to verify. Now back at this menu, we're going to select Clean Up SD Card. Press A to confirm. Great, SD card has been scrubbed and cleaned. Now we're going to press B to get back to our main menu, and at this point we're going to do our NAND backup. So in order to get there, let's go to Backup Options, highlight this, and we're going to do a Sys NAND backup. Now this may take a little bit, but we're going to back this up to our SD card. As you can see, it's going to take 1.3 gigabytes. We've got plenty of room on this small card to do that, and later off of the video I'll be backing this up on my computer. You need to back up your NAND too to somewhere safe. We do not keep this on the SD card. Okay, let's back this up. Now our NAND is backed up. Let's press A to continue, and we're going to press B to get back to our main menu, and we're going to select Dump Options right down here, close to the middle. We're going to drill into this, and we're going to select Dump Boot 9 and Boot 11.bin. Now we're going to confirm this, confirm it once more. Great. Now we're going to return back to the main menu and we're going to click Exit. Now it's going to ask us, do we want to relock write permissions? Press A. Yes, we do. Now, looking at the top screen, and I'm so sorry guys, this is kind of blurry and dim, but we're just going to have to work with it. Looking at the top screen, we're going to navigate to SysNAND Virtual. We're going to come right down here to SysNAND Virtual, okay? At this point, we're just going to press A. Now we're going to scroll down to essentials.xfs right here, and we're going to press A to select it, and to copy it over, all you have to do is look at your bottom screen, highlight all the way down to copy to 0-GM9/out, and press A. Now it's going to ask you here if it says it already exists. If it does, do you want to overwrite, choose a new name? What you want to do here is just overwrite the files. So select Overwrite Files and press A. Now we're going to press the Home button to bring up the action menu once more. Now when this comes up, we're going to select Power Off System to power off our device. Now when you turn your 3DS back on, you're going to be greeted with a lot of unwrapped packages. These are the Arcia files that we installed, and it's all of the homebrew apps that we put on our 3DS. Now from this point, you can add anything that you want to. It's just a matter of copying the files over to your SD card and installing them. Having said that, we do have that NAND backup on the SD card. I know I told you you didn't have to, but really, you need to take that NAND backup off of the SD card and secure it safely somewhere on a computer or a backup device. Now, we don't have anything loaded on here, but guys, this is all you need to do. You can take it from here. Load whatever you want on your 3DS. You have now all the tools and all of the capabilities in this handheld. It's quite remarkable, and it's a whole lot of fun. Well, we're all finished. Now you should be able to, from start to finish, soft mod and jailbreak both a 3DS as well as a Wii U using the latest and greatest methods that are totally free. Now, there are a lot of things going on right now in the world, especially in the retro gaming scene. And a lot of people seem to freak out whenever these digital things get shut down. And you know what? You should be. And you shouldn't be relying on digital media because it's best effort at best and you're renting those games. You own nothing. And unfortunately, in this climate, FOMO goes a long way at driving the markets of retro video games. So be careful about that. Don't have any hesitancy about protecting the things that you've purchased, and don't have any hesitancy about being a champion in life. Guys, if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. I appreciate the subscriptions, and I appreciate you guys putting those notifications on. Whatever you'd like to see me do in the future, just let me know down below in the comments. And if you need to buy a mod kit for any system, or if you need my services, go to my website, voltar.com. Also, I have a streaming archive website where I archive all of the streams that I do live, all of the tutorials that I do live. Go there. Be sure to sub to it. There's a lot of great content and a lot of soldering instruction that you'll never see on this channel. The link will be down in the description below too. Guys, take care of yourselves. Next time we see each other, we might be doing something a little bit on the Microsoft side. Take it easy.